Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to episode 96 of Talk4, the quickfire podcast where we ask four great questions to unique and interesting people. Behind the mic today is your host, Louis Skupien. That's me, and let me introduce our special guest for today, Craig Harrison, who's going to be answering our questions today. Craig, welcome aboard the Talk4 podcast, man. Just please say hi to the fine people listening and give us the 30 to 60 second-ish rundown of who you are and what you do. Then we're going to dig into some questions, and also, Happy New Year.
No, hi guys. Thanks, Louis, for having me on your show. Obviously, my name's Craig Harrison. I'm famous for holding the world record sniper shot in the world. Obviously, not anymore, but I did hold it for quite a while. And served 23 years in the British Army, 16 years as a frontline sniper, and completed 10 tours of my army career altogether. So, yeah.
Pretty crazy career, man. And so just quickly then, how long did you hold that the kill shot then, the longest sniper shot in history? How many years was that then?
I think it was about 4 years, 5 years I held it for. But my rifle was a smaller caliber. All these rifles that are beating it now, just massive calibers, and warfare is just getting better and better and better. It's gone all futuristic and stuff like that. It's not like stemmed from the First, Second World War to, Korea and stuff like that. And it's gone up, and warfare's gone more technical more than anything else. So the weapon system's gone more technical, scopes have gone more technical, So yeah, and records are meant to be broken, and one thing I must remind all your listeners: I didn't do it to beat the world record, I did it to save 12 people, and the opportunity was there, and I thought I'll push my luck, and I achieved the goal. So.
It's a hell of a thing and a serious record that must have been very difficult to break. And obviously, like you said, it took a number of years. So, but anyway, so that's what you're known for. But what I like to do on the show is kind of get stuck into a bit of backstory before we kind of get into that. So tell me your backstory, man. Like what led you down the military path to start with initially? And then kind of what was the motive there joining, and walk us through your training and career path going into the military to start with.
Well, I joined my family have all been military oriented. They're all in the RAF. My mum, my dad, my grandfather, and stuff like that. And but I always was interested in horses. I've been riding since I was so little, and I was lucky enough to have horses when I was little. My upbringing was good, and very privileged to have horses, and I wanted to carry on that. But where I lived in Cheltenham, there was no job prospects or anything like that. And I thought, well, I want to be a farrier. I want to get a trade. And my grandfather always said, get a trade, get a trade. And I know the army do farrier, and I wanted a secure job as well. So I was sort of like leaned into joining the household cavalry with the horses, and they do the troop and the colour and down at Whitehall and all that. And just to get a trade as well, to become a farrier in the army. And once I've achieved all my goals, get out, open my own business. You're set for life, aren't you? Really. And but yeah, it never worked out like that.
Rarely does, right?
Yeah, so it's because I'm a bit dyslexic as well. So not a bit, or I am dyslexic, and I find it hard sometimes. And when I went into the forge, when I joined, I was doing more illustration work than written work, and it wasn't to their standards. So I didn't make the cut to go down into. I'm trying to think where Melton Mowbray. Melton Mowbray is where the farrier school is, where you get taught, and I didn't make the cut. Yeah, and even though my practical skills were up to standard, I'm afraid my written stuff wasn't. But I always tell people, and I'll tell your listeners, always have a plan B. Always have a plan B. And I didn't have a fucking plan B. So I was a bit lost for a while, and what to do and where to go, really. But I soon found my feet in other avenues.
Right. So obviously, yeah, you clearly did. So sniper, what was the interest there, and how did that come about then?
Well, my regiment doesn't have snipers in it because there's no role for a sniper in the household cavalry. My regiment's very archaic. The wagons that we use were scimitars, Spartans, Sultans, and stuff like that. They were made in the 60s, and we're still using them till, the 2000s. They've changed it now to a new vehicle called Ajax, much bigger reconnaissance vehicle, because that's my regiment's role is forward reconnaissance. So we go in front of everybody, and the only furthest people in front of us will be the special forces. Pardon me. And our job is to gather information of the battlefield and send it back. And that's our job. So vehicles are meant to be nice and small, nippy, have a bit of firepower. But there was no jobs for snipers. And after every tour that you do, the sergeant major will go around and say, look, what course do you need to do? What course? Because it's all about career in the army. It's all about progressing up the ladder. And I said, well, I want to be a sniper. And I always got shot down saying no, 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 all the time. And eventually they said yes. The person in charge of the armoured division, some officer really high up in Whitehall, suggested that snipers would be a good asset in a reconnaissance role. So because the role of a sniper is to gather lifetime information of the battlefield. That is a primary role of a sniper. People always think, go out and shoot people. That's your secondary role, but your first role is to be a sneaky bastard, get loads of information, and then send it back. And then they tell you to take the shot or not. And that's the idea. So, yeah, I became a sniper. I came off tour. They put me on a course. And, yeah, I was the first household cavalryman to become a sniper.
Very cool stuff. So something that I want to tap into there a little bit is just, you said that you always wanted to become a sniper. So, what was it that appealed to you about that particular role then, would you say?
I think because I met one in Iraq once. We was in this big city called Alamara, and we had to fight to get in there. And once we were in there, we established a foothold in that Alamara city. And we took over a big football stadium, and they had snipers posted around the high points of the football stadium. I remember I just wanted to air my head a bit, so I went for a walk and I went around the football stadium, but I went around the tops and I started talking to this sniper. He was Royal Irish Regiment, and he didn't take his eye off the scope. He was so switched on and everything. And I thought, this is what I fucking want. This is what I want, because don't get me wrong, in the army, you follow orders. And in the army, sometimes you do some bizarre stuff. Like I've painted the grass green once because the Queen was coming to our regiment. So we had to paint the grass green outside the sergeant's mess and things like that. And you think to yourself, this isn't fucking right. But when I stand back and looked at the snipers, they got treated like adults. It's like being in the SF. You get treated like an adult. And that's what I wanted, to be treated like an adult and to let my professionalism come through and shine through. And that's why my interest started. And plus, I love being on my own. I love being in the countryside. I love being a sneaky bastard, so it sort of fitted me to a T, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it sounds like that was the perfect role then. And I mean, from your career, you definitely excelled, and quite some more than that at that role. So obviously, like we said, we know you as a sniper who formerly held the world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill in history at a range of, right, hold your breath, folks, 2,475 meters. I mean, that is a seriously long distance. I mean, I play a bit of airsoft, and catch someone out at about 70 meters. I'm like, wow, that's a long way. And then you have someone like Craig who manages that. So I was hoping you could kind of tell us the story of where that happened, how it happened, and really just kind of go into detail about what it takes to get a shot on target at over 1.5 miles out. I mean, I think I read somewhere that you had to aim, I think, 400 feet above the target for gravity and a muzzle velocity loss. I mean, is this a sniper rifle or a javelin?
Yeah, you got to think of people at far long distances. You don't put the crosshairs on the target, because it's impossible to achieve that shot. You have to aim off. Your crosshairs would be up left or up right, and you're shooting right below, because you don't shoot on full magnification of the scope either. People think it's to just whack it on full magnification, get it as close as possible. It's going to be an easy shot. But I guarantee if you did that, you'd end up missing, because your crosshairs start wobbling. You start feeling your heartbeat in the scope as well. So you turn it down to half and you'll hit the target. But my rifle only goes 1,500 yards. That's the designed distance of my rifle. and we're on a mission in Afghanistan in 2009, 2010. The tour went on to, and it was my job to give overwatch for a patrol going into this village. And the patrol was mixed with Afghan army and British troops, because the British troops were teaching the Afghan army how to patrol and how to, fend themselves in a contact or something like that. But they felt comfortable with snipers and big guns on the high ground. The Afghan army felt comfortable in walking into places because we knew, we had their back, sort of thing. And it was in a place called Talajan. It's a small village south of Musakala in the Northern Helmand province. And it was a perfect day. It was a winter tour that we'd done. But those days when it was nice and crisp but warm, blue sky and everything, but it's winter, and that's what it was. It's t-shirt weather, and I could see all the Taliban queuing up for the attack as the patrol went into the village, and I was radioing to the patrol saying, "Look, you got Taliban. They're gonna open up on you. They're gonna." And I had an interpreter with me, and he had a radio with him called ICOM, and it's ICOM chatter that we've turned into their frequency of the Taliban, and the interpreter, it's his job to translate in what they're saying. And they're saying, look, we're queuing up the attack, we'll wait till they get to the kill box. And what a kill box is like a plot of ground where there's no cover, there's no arcs of fire or anything. You just get massacred in this kill box, really. There's nothing there. And that's what they were waiting for, basically. And I saw a glint in the distance, and I thought, what the fuck was that in the distance? I've checked everywhere. So I turned my scope on full mag. Not going to take a shot, I just wanted to observe. And I could see a guy there with a radio, and the glint was the glint of his antenna of the radio. And I thought, he's doing something. He's like a scout or a dicker. So I told the patrol I'm going to fire a shot. I told him the situation. So I fired a shot, and it went fucking low, dead low, because I laser binoed it with my lasers, and it just came up with 4 red lines. So I knew I was way out of my, capability of my rifle. So I turned the scope down, and what I did a thing called bracketing. So I fired my first shot, went low, then I would aim a little higher, low, high, 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 high. And it took me 9 shots to get there, and I hit the compound wall. And then the ICOM chatter went quiet, and then it spoke saying, I cannot help you anymore. I'm getting shot at from somewhere. And that somewhere was from me. Now, that distance was 2,475 meters away. So I've hit that wall. So this is in the morning, okay? Now, the patrol's gone in, and then the patrol's gone into the kill box, and the Taliban have opened up on them. So they're taking casualties, they're returning fire, and it's a horrible firefight. Now, usually a firefight would last minutes, seconds sometimes. They do a thing called shoot and scoot, where they just spray and then they fucking run off, and they go somewhere else and shoot again. This one lasted for ages, all right, because the Taliban had good ground, they had good cover, they had good ammunition, they weren't going to run low. And it was also their objective to kill that patrol. So I started taking targets out where I was. And it was a bit of a chicken shoot, really, because the position I was, I could see the Taliban quite clearly. Now, as a sniper, you're only meant to take 1 to 3 shots and get the fuck out of Dodge, because you don't want to be caught, because you're a prime asset to the Taliban. If you get caught, they're gonna public humiliate you in front of everybody, but I stayed on the high ground and I carried on fighting. But I fought something on the ground. I thought, what I need to do is break the kill box from the Taliban. So what I decided to do is move the vehicles that I had behind me into a barrier, so the patrol's protected, so they can get out of Dodge, and then they can open up on the Taliban, which they've done. And then the battlefield went quiet, and I could see somebody of the right-hand side of me, and I thought, fuck, we're going to get flanked here. He's a marker. We're going to get flanked. So I popped him, he went down. He was about 645 yards away. So I shot him. He wasn't a marker. What he had done, he had knocked the head off a water pump, and it flooded all the irrigation fields where my vehicles were. Now my vehicles are stuck. They're wheel spinning in the mud, because it's not mud out there. It's like dry clay. It's horrible stuff. And they're wheels. And I could hear in the distance, and I thought, fucking hell. So I'm checking everywhere where I engaged the enemy, couldn't find it. The only place I didn't check was at the top. So I went up the top, and I could see two guys with a PKM machine gun, which is a Russian-made belt-fed machine gun. It can be drum-fed as well, but they're belt-feeding it. And I thought, fucking hell, I know what I'm shooting. I shot there. All I want to do is shoot, not to kill them, because it's fucking miles away, you know. I just want to get their heads down so my lads can get out of the dodge. So I fired my first shot, missed. I could see the splash. It took 6 seconds, 6 seconds time of flight, and I was counting in my head. 6, splash. Then I fired a second shot. As I fired my second shot, one of the guys stood up, and I hit him in the chest, and he fell backwards. Because I was shooting on half magnification, I was then flipping it to full mag to see what was going on, then flipping it back to medium magnification again. So, and I thought, right, I need to get this other guy now. It's possible. So I fired my third shot, and as I fired my third shot, I counted in my head 3 seconds. I went 1, 2, 3. Moved my rifle across, and I fired again. So now I've got 2 bullets in the air at the same time, 3 seconds apart, because it's 6 seconds time of flight. Third one missed. Fourth one hit him in the side, because he was standing up to move the machine gun, and he went down. And next thing I knew, an Apache helicopter came down to the side of us, and I could see the pilot. And he went to me. He goes, "Are you okay?" I could see his lips read. He goes, "You okay?" And I put my thumb up, and I pointed to where they were getting engaged. And he GPS'd it at 2,475 meters, you know. I knew why I shot the guys, because it's the job for you to get the weapon system back, to stop it going back into enemy hands. That weapon system had gone, you know, and it was just the bodies that were left there. Yeah, and that's the story of my shot.
Oh my God, that's absolutely crazy, man. So a couple of questions that spring to mind from that then. Number one is, like I said, I play a little bit of airsoft from time to time, and we kind of use the 3 times magnification scopes, maybe 9 times or something. So what kind of magnification were you using when you were taking those shots? And like you said, you don't go full mag. So what was the magnification that you were using when
So
you
it's
took that shot?
56 times
Yeah.
25 times 15.
Wow. Okay.
So
And that's a hell of a strong scope, isn't it? Oh
yeah,
God.
it's a Smith and Bender scope. It's German made. There's loads of scopes out there. There's Nightfalls, there's
Yeah.
Leopold and stuff like that, but I prefer the Leopold, and that's what I'm sorry, the Smith and Bender scopes, and that's what we got issued with. So we didn't have a choice on what scope we could use. So it's like you get issued it, and you got to make it work for yourself, really.
Well, you certainly did. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So what was your reaction when those shots landed then? At what point did you kind of get the word like this was the world record shot? Were you initially like, holy shit, like when did all that start to sink in?
That was my last tour of Afghan, because on that tour, I think after we was in that drama, that big tick, we're ticks troops in contact. We was in a big tick. I got shot on my helmet in a big contact. It went round my helmet and came out the top. That knocked me out for about 20 seconds. And then 3 days after that, I hit an IED, and broke my arms, got a brain injury. My hips were fucked and everything. But they redeployed me after 6 weeks. And so I went back to Afghan after 6 weeks, after they took my casts off. And then I carried on sniping for another 4 months. And then what happened is we came back to England, and you have a medals parade. So high-ranking officer or an MP will come round, and they will present you with your Afghan medal. And what happens then is, like, a journalist will come round, because obviously you're the local regiment of Windsor or London, and a journalist came round, and he was a freelance journalist, and he wanted to know about my lads' story, or stories that my lads had. And as me being a sniper, I've got a lot of stories, and I kept saying all the time, "Well, this gets censored. Will this get censored? Yeah, it will get censored. It will get censored." And I thought, brilliant. You feel safe at home, don't you? So I opened up to this journalist, and before I knew it, the Medals Parade was on the Thursday, I think, and on Sunday, my wife opened the newspapers, and it was all over the newspapers. And it wasn't about my lads' efforts, it was just about me. What made me quite sick, really, because my lads put enough effort in, more than I did. At the end of the day, I'm a sergeant, I'm guiding them, and I tell them where to go, and they fucking do the job really well. And my wife, Tanya, bless her, she said, "Something's wrong. I feel this can't be right." And everyone told her to shut up, basically, and just let Craig enjoy the moment, and she was right. It was wrong. And then we started getting death threats. And then the journalist rang me up, and he said to me, he goes, "Do you realise you broke Rob Furlong's world record?" And I went, "No, not at all." And I really wasn't fucking interested, to be honest with you, because I did it to save people. That was my job. You don't go out to break a world record. You go out to do a job, and you do it well, you know. And that's what I did. And so I wasn't really interested, but it just went bigger than Ben-Hur. All the death threats started coming in. Me and my wife went into hiding for 3 years. We went into secure housing because they wanted to cut my head off, because it turned out the two guys that I killed were high-ranking Taliban leaders. And as I redeployed after I broke my arms back into Afghan, they hired a out-of-season fighter to hunt me down, to try and capture me. So,
Oh my God. And
yeah.
this is at home in the UK.
Yeah. They found a car in Birmingham, all lined out with plastic in the boot, and my picture in the car,
Holy
because they
shit.
wanted to kidnap me. So, yeah, so
Oh my
it's real.
God.
It's real out there.
That's crazy, man. I mean, it's one thing knowing that there's war going on the other side of the planet, and then it's when it's at home, that's when it's kind of like, I mean, nowhere is safe really
No,
nowadays, is it? I mean,
no.
what kind of form did these death threats take? Was it online? Was it letters? Or
Yeah,
what was
online in the national papers, they would put, backlash of what Craig Harrison done, sniper. We want to capture a Muslim soldier, and also we want to catch him and behead him, stuff like that. And yeah, and the media would put it in, because it's media, isn't it? It's propaganda, and they would put it straight into the newspaper. And yeah, it's not to be sniffed at, because it turned out to be quite fucking real stuff,
what
And
do you do? What do you do about that? Like, how do you even like when that starts? How
well,
do you protect?
we went into hiding. We went off the grid, you know. And we went to America for 3 years as well. So just to disappear and let everything calm down. And touch wood, everything's calmed down now. And so that's why I don't mind talking about it.
Did you have to change names, or I
No,
mean,
not at all. Just keep, come off the electoral roll, um, different bank accounts, stuff like that. And yeah, it was any way we could be trackable, we had to stop using, like, social media and stuff like that. So the old fashioned phones we had to use, just stuff that would stop people from finding out where we were, basically.
Oh my God. I mean, is that still affecting you now then? So, I mean, when you go out to town or something, you go do some shopping, go, take the kids out. I know you've got two kids, like you mentioned, or go to a restaurant. Are you still kind of situational awareness, like trying to
Oh, all the
prevent
time.
things?
I
Yeah.
still now, I've been out for 10 years now, and I'm still, and I say to my wife, it's a 360 battle, and I'm always scanning my arcs and everything. I suffer from PTSD anyway, CPTSD. I've got hypervigilancy, I suffer with, and I'm constantly checking everything all the time. And if I let my guard down and something happens, I wouldn't let myself forgive myself.
My God, man, that must be a lot to deal with. I mean, I think we remember you from the Lad Bible stuff, and obviously I've looked at the podcast you've done before as well, and we know, but obviously about the struggle you've been through. But just kind of where are you with that all now? How is life? Because it seems like you're doing pretty well right now, which is great to see
Yeah, I'm
considering for how
good.
it was.
Yeah, I'm good. I take shitloads of medication, which people reach out to me on my Instagram, and Tanya helps me a lot on my Instagram as well. And we sort of talk to a lot of people that are struggling, and they want to know my techniques. And I see a therapist every Thursday, a gentleman called Ross Hoare. That I see, fantastic guy, and my wife, Tanya. She has been a great fucking support. And majority of people that I know that are suffering with PTSD, their families have left them, and because they can't cope with it. But my wife must be a different breed, because she stuck me by thick and thin, and medication. Like I said, medication's not the answer. And people would say, no, I don't want to start taking. But if it puts you on a level plane and doesn't let you drop into that darkness and depression and suicidal thoughts, I will take medication. Like I've always said to people, it's not the fucking answer, but if it gives you that respite, it helps. And don't get me wrong, I have my bad days still, and I always will. I've seen and done a lot of stuff, and that'll never leave me. But like I said, my wife, she's always here. I had my dog Betsy, she passed away last year, and my wife bought me another one, a little Westie called Steve, and he's filled a big hole in my heart that Betsy left behind, and I'm slowly bringing him up as well. So yeah.
Oh man, that's I feel for you, dude. I mean, what happened then? So after the military and stuff, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap question 4 with question 3, because I was going to go into like what happened afterwards towards the end, but I think let's go do that now then. So I mean, look, like you said, veteran suicide, man, it's insane. I mean, I've had a few people on the show, they talk about it a lot. A few people running foundations doing good work. 22 to 44 veteran suicides a day, man. It's out of control. And thankfully, some of the people I know, they're on the right path. They some of them went to do psychedelic assisted therapy stuff. Some of them did the kind of the brain TBI treatment bits and bobs there. And I think there's a few people who are experimenting, finding ways to get through it. But I mean, after the military, then for you, what was the kind of the military care for you like then, and the medication and stuff? Is it working for you? I mean, how is that all going?
Totally abandoned by the army. Totally abandoned. Fuck all, fuck all. And nothing of the army. I pay my therapist out of pocket, so I pay myself. It helps, but yeah, the army do nothing, do absolutely nothing. You're just a number to them. You're a number when you join, and when you've gone, you're out. You're out. Don't get me wrong. Some charities do help certain people, but when you've got complex PTSD and you've got bigger issues, they don't know what to fucking do. And the only people that understand people is people with PTSD. So, say for instance, you had CPTSD and I had CPTSD, you suffer from depression and suicidal thoughts. I can understand what you're fucking going through, because I am there with you. And that's the point. And some of these doctors do not know what they're doing. And they just hand you a note saying, there we go and see NHS mental health, go and do this. And they don't help. No help there at all. And you just feel totally, totally, totally fucking abandoned. And what the MOD should do is every veteran or every soldier that leaves the British Army should get tracked for 2 years prior leaving. What after they left, they should get tracked for 2 years after they left, so I say. And then hopefully homelessness, suicide, drugs, alcoholism will stop, because you're getting tracked and you're getting the fucking proper help. But the army don't. And the money the army wastes, my time in the army, each regiment gets a budget of money, okay? And if you don't spend that money, you won't get the same amount next year. So they spend it on random stuff. Like, I think it got investigated a couple of years ago where the MOD were paying, like, was it £12 or £22 for a light bulb? And because they had to get rid of this money. So use it in fucking other places then, track veterans, set something up, and then spend the money wisely instead of spend it on shit.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. I mean, it's such a big problem out there. I just don't understand why nothing's been done about it. But I mean, the thing that surprises me a bit as well, just thinking about it, is that it's not just, I mean, let's put it this way. All of you should receive adequate support and funding to heal. But you was someone who obviously had this accolade that you do, and obviously media coverage and media exposure, and a name that's kind of grown in fame. I'm amazed that they wouldn't see a potential problem there if they're treating you to absolutely freaking nothing, and you have a name and a voice and a platform and stuff. How are they not even seeing the problem there for recruitment? I mean, ultimately, your stories, and when you say stuff like this, it's put into some people are going to be like, well, shit, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go put my life on the line and do this and then get chucked away and be facing this crap. So I mean, why wouldn't they even support someone with a name? As bad as that sounds, I mean, why?
I've had people say on my Instagram and stuff like that. I've done podcasts, I've done loads of podcasts, and some of the questions that the podcastee, who's interviewing me, they said, "Oh, we got this message saying, oh, you joined the army, you knew the fucking consequences, but you do not know how your brain is going to react when you kill someone. You do not know how your brain's going to react when you're in the fucking shit and your mates are getting killed, mates are getting shot. You don't know how your brain's going to react. No one fucking knows, you know? And for somebody to say, when you joined it, you know the consequences. Yeah, I knew the fucking consequences, but I didn't expect to get shot in the helmet, blown up, do fucking hundreds of kills or whatever, how many kills I've done, you know? You don't expect how your brain's going to work. And if you start enjoying stuff like that, then there's something wrong with you. But it was at the end of the day, there were targets to me. It was a job, and I'd done it as high as I could. You know.
Well done, you man. It just feels like, to me, I mean, you look at the recruitment stuff, and there's people who are in marketing, and it's not soldiers. Like, it feels like these are people who understand marketing and recruitment, yeah, and they understand the law and the government, but they don't understand what it's like to be there. So maybe we can give some of these recruitment jobs to some of the veterans who are on the street and suffering, because they can probably use that, right?
Exactly. Like I said before, Louis, they need to be monitored for 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. Instead of giving, I don't go into this stuff, but instead of giving all these asylum seekers living in ex-barracks and these floating hotels, give it to homeless veterans. So they got somewhere to fucking go and they feel somewhere safe. Homeless veteran is a veteran, right? And he was in the forces at some point as obviously a veteran. So where he puts his head down, it could be a pallet with a duvet and a cushion. If he feels safe in that environment, he's going to feel safe. And on these ex-barracks they've opened up, and these hotels they've opened up, give them to veterans, and I'm sure they appreciate it, because we're roughy, toughy people. We don't care where we live, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like, leave the war fighting to the war fighters. I mean, these guys are experts in the craft in the field, right? They should leave doing those jobs around the military to the people who know what they're talking about, who have
Yeah,
experienced it, and they understand it to a deeper degree, not these pencil pushers and people who
yeah.
think they know what they're talking about, but really all they're looking for is just policy, politics, and getting their name nice on a nice big check, right?
And you have charities that look for job for you, and these jobs that they give you, these companies that you go into, they say, "Oh yeah, we help veterans," and that's a tick in the box really, because they've helped a veteran, And that veteran, what if he has a wobble? I call it a wobble day, right? What if you have a wobble day, and then you have another day of wobble day, and another way of wobble day, and you're not at work? You're going to cost that company money because you're not helping that company make money. So you're going to be let go. But hang on a minute, you said you help veterans. You're going to have to, you know, take the responsibility that veteran's got mental health issues. You need to help them in that way. And it's right. So many people that I know saying, yeah, I got a job, Craig. And I thought, fucking brilliant, mate. Next week he says, oh, they let me go because I've had a fucking wobble. You're like, Well, but yet that doesn't, they don't tell the charity that, They say, oh yeah, we took 4 veterans on this week. Oh, tick in the box, and that's all they want, is that tick in the box.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my thing really has always been aviation, and I know that there's a massive majority of ex-fighter pilots who are now flying the commercial airliners, and there's so many of them, and they have PTSD. I mean, I know my boy Wiz, is his birthday today. Happy birthday! And he runs the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. He gets anonymous messages from commercial airline pilots who say that they are suffering with PTSD and TBI and all these different things, but they're still flying as commercial airliners. Why? Because they can't say a word about it, otherwise they lose their job. And it's such a deep rooted problem. So what do? They keep flying, and they keep kind of medicating and isolating. Basically, it's horrible. We've got to do something about it. I mean, where do you even begin with fixing a problem so big? But anyway, man, on your one, what are you doing now then? So I mean, I've seen you doing some good stuff. You got a cool book out and everything. Where's
Yeah,
life taking
yeah.
you?
I wrote a book a couple of years ago called The Longest Kill. I couldn't write it about the shocks; it'd be like a pamphlet. So me and my ghostwriter came up and said, "Look, let's write it about your life. I have an interest in life in the army, and things that I've done in the army and the tours that I've done." And yeah, so I wrote a book, A Longest Kill, and it's become a bestseller. Because I've kept it quite raw. My book was about this fat; it was massive, and then it gets smaller and smaller as it goes through the solicitors. Saying, fucking hell, you can't put that. You can't put that. And then we came up with it with a normal size book. And yeah, it's really good. It's The Longest Kill. It just tells you about everything. Because I wanted to put people straight about my shot, really, because the Americans did a dramatization of it. And they did me lying down. When I took my shot, I was stood up when I took my shot. But everyone
You were
thinks I was
stood
lying
up.
down. Yeah, I was stood up. Yeah, I was leaning
What?
against a compound wall
Oh my
when I
god,
when I took the shot. So that
bro,
makes it even harder.
bro! I couldn't hit like a Coke can at 25 meters away, probably if I was standing up with my airsoft rifle or something. You did that at that range? What?
Yeah, yeah, I
That
know,
is
it's crazy.
that is absolutely ridiculous, man. Yeah, hats off to you. I mean, people may say a bit of luck or something, but dude, there's absolutely you cannot hide just absolute skill and just years of practice and talent really in something like that. You can't get lucky in something like that. But anyway, so kind of rounding this off now, I like to in the show have some kind of applicability and just a few things that we can maybe take away from it, and from your profession, career, and expertise, and maybe do a bit of applying as well, and some things that you might know. So as a sniper who performed as you did and landed those shots on target at that range, are there any or a few things that go into the preparation and execution of deadly accuracy and patience in sniping that might also be very effective practices in the real world of decision making, business growth, and kind of handling stress and problematic spots effectively for our listeners? I mean, obviously, like you said, you had brothers' lives on the line, so you got to make that shot that far out. Mentally, how do you approach that?
I think take yourself away from the stressful stuff. Have a breather, take a deep breath, think about it, and then go back into it. And that's a good way of transferring the sniper skills into civilian skills. It's all about calming down, calming your breathing down, because more you hype yourself up, more stress you're going to get. But if you control your breathing, control and what you're about to say and how you're about to say it, or what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, it's all about take a deep breath, think about it, and then go into it. You're not timed, it's not a race, and just relax and take things easy. That's what you need to do. And don't forget, being a sniper, you do dry training, so you practice over and over and over and over again, and constantly practice. So if you're in that civilian world where this skill needs to be practiced, do not have skill fade. Keep practicing all the time, and you'll get better and better and better at it, and you'll strive to be a better person as well.
So true, man. One more thing as well, something that I'd like to ask too. So in the story you were telling at the beginning about kind of getting into sniping and, that first sniper you met on that, on the high ground there, So you said that he had like completely unwavering attention, and his eye would not leave the scope. So I think in this day, in this culture and stuff, I feel it in myself too. With the kind of like these quick dopamine hits and things you get on Instagram, it's all designed to just take your attention away from things you're meant to be doing and kind of distract you. So in terms of like what snipers do to stay so laser focused for so long and just stay unwavering with that attention span, any kind of like tips, practices, or training that maybe people can do to like improve their just ability to stay focused for longer periods of time on work or in sport or anything really?
What I used to do is snipering. It's quite hard to transfer that into the civilian world because you've got a weapon system, you know what I mean? But what I used to do is put a laptop down and set my sniper rifle down in a corridor, and then put a film on the laptop, put my scope on low magnification, and I just to sit there and just watch the film, and then put my crosshairs on the actors. And then I used to put a 50p or 2p or 10p on the end of the barrel, and I used to manipulate the bolt and close it and open it. And if the penny falls off or the money falls off, I'm being too erratic, because it's all about being slow, taking your time and stuff like that, you know. But like I said, it's all to do with practice, all to do with skill fade. Now, if I went out, I could shoot a rifle now, but doing the sniper phase, I'd probably get caught because I haven't done it for a long time. But if I concentrated on it now and did it in a few months, that skill will come back to me and I could be on top of my game again. So it's all about practice, all about concentration. And when I used to look for the scope for a long period of time, I used to make stories up of the people, and I was thinking, oh, there he comes. There's John, there's Steve, there we go. And they should keep my mind occupied, and then that was the easiest thing I could think of, and it worked really well for me. How you can do it into the normal world is do not stress about things. Nothing's worth stressing about. Okay. And if you do stress about it, take your weight, like I said before, take yourself away from that stressful place, think about it, go back and think and go back with a clear mind. That's the best way of doing it.
Brilliant stuff, Craig. Right. Last other thing I want to ask then, just for me as well. So I'm a big fan of the military. I love guns. I've got to shoot only a couple in my time at a local indoor range and stuff. But if you've got someone listening, maybe if obviously easier in America, but difficult in the UK to kind of go shoot some stuff. But for you, if you were talking to someone right now who's a big gun enthusiast or someone who wants to get into a bit of shooting, have you got like a top 2, top 3 things that you got to go and shoot or try out at least once?
I think in England you've got shotguns, obviously. Fire a few shotguns, see if you like the feeling of it. They've got a big kickback, play pigeon shooting and stuff like that. But if you want to start shooting accuracy and targets and stuff like that, I think the best weapon on the market at the moment is the AT. It's made by Accuracy International. It's a small, compact 308 rifle or 5.56 or 6 mil. And if you go down Bisley in Surrey, that's the best range to shoot them because they go up to 1 kilometre on them ranges. But you're looking at yourself, if you want to buy one, it's about 1,400 quid to buy one. So there are a lot of money to buy. So if you're really deep into it, it's worth getting that. But like again, it's harder in England to get a weapons license, but you can go and join these clubs and they'll supply the weapon system for you after you do a background check, make sure you're not a complete maniac, So
Awesome. Well then, Craig, thank you so much for all of that. That's been the 4 and quite a bit questions done for today. Before we wrap it up, it is time for the shameless plug. So, Craig, feel free to take a minute and promote all the stuff that you're working on, your book, social media, or just wherever you want people to go and find your stuff, basically.
yeah, so basically, get my book, have a look at it. The Longest Kill. It's an easy read because obviously I wrote it, and so yeah, it's a good read. And also, I've opened a survival school up called the Maverick Survival School. Just put that into Google, the Maverick Survival School, and it will come up. And basically, any veterans out there that are suffering from mental health, they all come down for free. and we start on the Friday, finish on the Sunday. We all do bushcrafts and sit around the campfire. My therapist comes down. If you're struggling, you can have a chat with him. Civilians, yeah, there's a price there as well, I'm afraid. So it's not too expensive to come down. Everything's provided for you, or you can provide your own kit. It's something that me and my wife got together and made, to just help people with mental health and veterans. So yeah, go onto the webpage, have a look, start booking on, and I'll email you dates for you to come over down to Southampton and have a good weekend. So yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'd love to join some time. But yeah, Craig, just want to say thanks so much for joining me today for the Talk4 podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and Happy New Year, bro.
Yeah, you too, mate, and have a good one.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening too. This has been episode 96. And if you'd like to listen to the past episodes, go and have a look at our channel. And if you'd like to listen in for the future ones, make sure to hit that subscribe button and spread some love by leaving a like and a comment. Signing off for now. Fights on, and see you next time. Good night.